ceasefire clock is ticking, and Tehran says it has new surprises. Target lists ready, movements underway, and warnings of another hell if war returns. From Hormuz to Yemen, the fronts are aligning again. This isn't de-escalation, it's a pause. So when the clock runs out, what exactly has Iran prepared? Iran is signaling readiness for a renewed conflict as the ceasefire deadline approaches, with state-linked media reporting preparations for a potential escalation. According to Tasnim, citing informed sources, Tehran has drawn up new military plans amid stalled negotiations and rising tensions over a proposed US naval blockade.
Iran is fully prepared for the possibility of a new war and has prepared new surprises for a potential new round of combat. Accordingly, some military movements and new target lists have been prepared for this purpose.
The report adds that Iran has been actively preparing for renewed hostilities over the past 2 weeks.
Over the past 2 weeks, Iran has taken the possibility of renewed war seriously. Iran is ready to create another hell for Americans and Israelis from the very beginning of any potential new war.
Tehran has accused Washington of undermining diplomacy, pointing to blockade threats and what it calls excessive demands during ceasefire negotiations. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has previously alleged repeated US violations of the truce, warning that any attempt to restrict access to the Strait of Hormuz would trigger a decisive response. Meanwhile, regional escalation risks are growing. Yemen's Ansarullah movement has warned it will rejoin the conflict if hostilities resume.
Ansarullah will not be an impartial actor if aggression resumes against the Islamic Republic. We are in confrontation with the Israeli enemy and its American partner. If the enemy returns to war, the path lying ahead for us will also be a return to war.
Al-Houthi also criticized narratives surrounding Iran's regional allies.
The Zionists and their mouthpieces are trying to tarnish the image of free and independent groups, standing against tyranny by labeling them as a proxy for Iran. The enemies seek to gag any free voice that opposes American-Israeli hegemony and tyranny. The Zionists, along with the Americans, the British, and their hypocritical Arab agents, are working to make the Ummah accept the equation of permissible violation.
The warnings come after weeks of intense conflict between Iran, the United States, and Israel, followed by a fragile ceasefire that has yet to produce a long-term settlement. With negotiations stalled and military posturing intensifying across the region, the ceasefire appears increasingly fragile, raising the risk that the conflict could reignite, potentially drawing in multiple fronts at once. Iran claims it launched drone attacks on US military vessels in the Gulf of Oman, hours after an American Navy destroyer seized an Iranian cargo ship, a move Tehran has called an act of armed piracy that violates the terms of an active ceasefire. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reported that the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Command struck US warships with drones in direct retaliation for the seizure. The vessel at the center of the standoff is the Tauska, an Iranian-flagged cargo ship nearly 900 feet long, traveling from China towards the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas. The guided missile destroyer USS Spruance intercepted it in the Gulf of Oman after the crew ignored warnings for over 6 hours to stand down. US Central Command said the Spruance then disabled the ship's propulsion by firing its 5-inch naval gun into the engine room, after which Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit boarded and took custody of the vessel.
After Tauska's crew failed to comply with repeated warnings over a 6-hour period, Spruance directed the vessel to evacuate its engine room. Spruance disabled Tauska's propulsion by firing several rounds from the destroyer's 5-inch Mk-45 gun into Tauska's engine room. US Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit later boarded the non-compliant vessel, which remains in US custody.
US President Donald Trump announced the seizure on Truth Social, describing the Tauska as sanctioned for prior illegal activity and making clear the crew had been given fair warning.
Today, an Iranian-flagged cargo ship named Tuska, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade, and it did not go well for them.
Trump also accused Iran of firing at a British freighter, though London's defence and transport ministries said they had no reports of any such attack. Tehran called the boarding a ceasefire violation. Iran's Khatam al-Anbiya military headquarters said US forces had fired on a commercial ship, disabled its navigation system, and deployed Marines onto its deck.
We warn that the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will soon respond to and retaliate against this armed piracy by the US military.
The Tuska seizure was not the only flashpoint in the waterway. French shipping company CMA CGM confirmed that one of its vessels, the CMA CGM Everglade, was targeted by warning shots in the Strait of Hormuz on April 19th. New details from Iranian state media suggest US warships came within minutes of being targeted by the Iranian military. According to Press TV, the incident took place on April 11th, when two US Navy destroyers, the USS Michael Murphy and the USS Frank E. Peterson, entered the strategic waterway. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy reportedly issued initial warnings. When those warnings were not heeded, the report claims the IRGC escalated, locking 16 cruise missiles onto the vessels. The message was clear: withdraw within minutes or the missiles would be fired. Faced with what they believed was an imminent strike, US personnel reportedly requested a 15-minute delay. According to the report, the time was meant to relay the situation to higher command and seek further instructions. The standoff lasted less than an hour. Press TV says the confrontation ended with the US destroyers withdrawing rapidly from the area, in what it describes as a forced retreat shaped by Iranian restraint. But the follow-up investigation goes further. It claims the US naval movement was not routine, but a calculated high-risk operation timed to coincide with diplomatic talks in Islamabad. The report characterizes the mission as a failed show of force, arguing it could have easily spiraled into a major military incident. According to the findings, both destroyers attempted to pass through the strait using deception. They allegedly spoofed their identity to appear as commercial vessels linked to Oman, navigating close to coastal and shallow waters in an effort to avoid detection. The assumption the report suggests was that Iranian forces might lower vigilance during a ceasefire, but that calculation appears to have failed. Iranian naval units already patrolling near Fujairah reportedly identified the vessels early and moved to intercept. Press TV further claims that alongside missile targeting, attack drones were also deployed, bringing the ships, in its account, within minutes of destruction. The report concludes that the operation was designed to test Iran's naval readiness under ceasefire conditions. There has been no official confirmation of these claims from US authorities. In one of the world's most critical choke points, even brief encounters carry the risk of rapid escalation, where minutes can determine whether a standoff ends in retreat or something far more dangerous. After weeks of intense fighting, fresh claims are raising serious questions about the true scale of US military losses in the Iran war. According to a report by the Daily Mail, satellite imagery and open-source data suggest that Washington may not be fully disclosing the extent of damage inflicted by Iranian strikes during the conflict. The report, part of the outlet's Photo Evidence series, analyses imagery from EU Sentinel satellites alongside flight tracking data and ground photographs. It argues that the US Department of War has suffered significant losses, particularly in high-value strategic assets, while limiting public visibility of the damage. Since the launch of the US-Israeli campaign against Iran on February 28th, Iranian forces have responded with waves of missile and drone attacks, targeting American military infrastructure across the Gulf. Unlike conventional warfare, the strategy appears focused on disabling command and control systems, including radar and air defense networks. One key site highlighted in the report is the Prince Sultan Air Base, a major logistics hub for US operations in the region. Satellite imagery suggests that an airborne warning and control system aircraft, or AWACS, may have been destroyed during a strike on March 27th. The loss of a single AWACS aircraft is estimated at around $724 million. In addition, images indicate that several KC-135 refueling tankers may have been damaged or destroyed in the same attack. Each tanker carries a replacement cost of up to $240 million.
Looking at one airbase on just one day of the Iran war, it appears probable that the US lost over $1 billion worth of equipment.
Beyond this single incident, broader estimates paint an even more costly picture. Reports suggest that by mid-April, the US may have lost at least 39 military aircraft, with an additional 10 damaged. Among the most significant losses is the MQ-4C Triton drone, valued at up to $250 million, as well as multiple MQ-9 Reaper drones. There are also claims that advanced fighter jets have been downed or shot, including F-35s, F-15s, F-16s, and an F-18. If confirmed, such losses would mark a major blow to the perception of US air superiority. Further strain has been seen in operational setbacks. During a mission in Isfahan, US Special Forces reportedly destroyed their own aircraft, including 2 MC-130J planes and several helicopters, to prevent them from falling into Iranian hands. The report also raises concerns about transparency. It says that the US Department of War requested Planet Labs to halt the release of satellite images from the conflict zone, including Allied bases, a move that has fueled further suspicion.
The Department of War has stopped US satellite companies from publishing imagery, which shows us the damage that other sources and photographers on the ground are revealing.
While some of the imagery originates from Iranian state media and requires cautious interpretation, the convergence of multiple data sources has intensified scrutiny. As the war continues, the gap between official statements and emerging evidence is becoming a growing point of contention. Whether these claims are fully substantiated or not, they underscore a broader reality. In modern warfare, the battle over information can be just as critical as the fighting on the ground.